Alors, premièrement, laissez-moi vous partager je remplace aujourd'hui Rajiv Gupta, notre dirigeant principal devait être ici aujourd'hui pour offrir notre présentation. Malheureusement, il a dû rester à Ottawa, alors je suis votre humble remplaçant, j'espère de lui faire honneur. Lorsqu'on commence, je voulais mentionner aussi, très heureux de prendre des questions à la fin. Alors aujourd'hui, je vais vous présenter un peu ce qu'on fait au Centre cyber pour la sécurité et aussi énoncer quelques événements, quelques nouvelles initiatives que nous lançons aujourd'hui. Alors, je vais faire la présentation en français et en anglais. Très heureux de répondre à vos questions à la fin. C'est pour ça qu'on est ici, alors profitons-en. Alors, rapidement, Centre canadien pour la cybersécurité, pour ceux qui ne nous connaissent pas, nous sommes l'autorité technique et opérationnelle en cybersécurité pour le gouvernement fédéral. Notre mandat inclut la protection des réseaux et de l'information du gouvernement fédéral dans son entité. Alors, on parle ici là, de tout l'appareil fédéral, alors les différents ministères, 350 000 employés, une empreinte là, qui est de la côte est à la côte ouest, à l'Arctique canadien et à l'international. Nous avons aussi notre mandat depuis la création du centre en 2018, inclut maintenant aussi promouvoir la résilience et travailler avec des infrastructures essentielles au Canada, finances, télécommunications, transport et énergie et nourriture et santé et tout et tout. Alors aussi, nous avons un mandat de travailler avec le secteur privé à promouvoir la résilience en cybersécurité pour la nation canadienne. Nous sommes un organisme, nous n'avons aucune autorité. Si vous travaillez avec nous, vous travaillez de manière volontaire et ceci est le mandat, c'est notre approche depuis les dernières années. Alors, comme je vous dis, nous ne sommes pas un régulateur, nous n'avons pas d'autorité de juridiction policière, alors nous ne sommes pas aucune autorité policière. Et finalement, lorsque vous travaillez avec nous dans un modèle de complicité avec nous. Alors évidemment, nous, on n'est pas là pour promouvoir avec qui on fait, on n'est pas une salle de nouvelles, comme on dit. Alors tout ça, par exemple, amène le fait que nous, notre but, c'est de travailler en partenariat, en collaboration, avec les différentes organisations. Alors, juste un petit peu l'année en revue. Alors, comme j'expliquais, on est une entité opérationnelle. Nous ne sommes pas une entité de politique nationale. La politique en cybersécurité est faite dans un autre ministère. Mais nous, voici, ça vous donne un peu les activités concrètes que nous avons faites dans la dernière année. Je ne passerai pas au travers de tout ça et je vous encourage à aller visiter notre site web où vous allez pouvoir voir énormément d'informations. Comme je vous dis, on a une section très riche en documentation pour des avis, des recommandations pour la cybersécurité. Mais en même temps aussi, on offre une autre panoplie de services qui est disponible de manière gratuite à l'ensemble des autorités de la population canadienne. Laissez-moi vous juste zoomer sur peut-être deux items plus précis. Premièrement, I'm going to switch in English now, just to do both. So let me talk about pre-ransomware notification. So this is one thing we've been doing for about a year now, where we have built the capability to be able to warn entities that are about to be subject to a ransomware. So we did over 250 last year. This is a bit of an opportunistic model. It's not something that is kind of dedicated to protection of a given entity, but it's more something that we see that we can act and inform a potential victim rapidly. When we come up into those situations, it's a bit of a time-sensitive situation, as when we are able to find out in the process that a cyber actor is about to execute a ransomware attack. Quite often, there's steps in preparation to this, and often we have the opportunity, the ability to be informed. So that's why we reach out and we let a potential victim know. I'm sharing this today because the reality, though, is it's pretty, as you can imagine, getting a cold call from us, especially if you have no relationship with the Cyber Center, could be a bit surprising, right? And of course, we do this to anyone. This has nothing to do with our mandate. Anybody that's potentially affected will get informed, being a university, a private, small businesses, or any large Canadian corporation, or any public entity. But the point is, I want to make sure this folks, as much as we can, we're trying to make folks aware of this capability, so that if ever you get the call, you actually want to work with us. There's been many situations, unfortunately, we had to use local police force to actually participate with us, especially when it's, of course, because this can happen all across Canada, to actually make the potential victim understand this was a reality. The other thing I just want to mention that the Cyber Center participated in too is that last year, so if you look at our legislation, one of the things we can do is defensive cyber operation. So really what this is the ability to actually take action against cyber criminal to try to affect, reduce their ability to conduct criminal activity. So this, we've been conducting an operation with our Five Eyes partner since the creation of the Cyber Center in 2018. But last year, for the first time, we actually conducted a defensive cyber operation against a cyber criminal organization that was actively focused on activity in Canada. So, often we have these discussions about what can we do against cyber criminal, what is the government doing. So, I mean, part of those activities are happening. Of course, cyber criminal are more and more resilient. So, this is not by itself the solution to the problem, but clearly I wanted to make sure that you folks were aware that these activities are happening. Again, more detail available, so if you are interested, I'm going to skip the rest of the information there, but if you're interested, definitely you can stop at our booth, and the folks at the booth can expand into this and actually explain to you some of those services we offer that you can have access to. So, okay, switching gear now just rapidly, just in the sense of, let's talk about the threat and what we're doing about it. So first of all, anybody that's been watching the news we have seen in the last few years that geopolitics has evolved in Canada. Or in Canada in the world, but in Canada is affected like any other country. And we're all familiar, anybody that's been involved in cybersecurity, we understand the initial pattern was always about, trying to acquire information to be able to either further use it from an intelligence, from a national security perspective, try to acquire information from just, to enable some trade negotiation. But really now, what we've seen is the shift in nation-state or state-aligned organization are really moving beyond the acquiring information, the old espionage that's been happening for hundreds of years, but now they're really focused now on actually, they're more and more getting ready and be able to move into a space where disruption will be part of the goal. And I mean, you're quite familiar with, I'm sure, the most easiest example is the Salt Typhoon. Too many typhoon, Volt Typhoon. That was quite, received a lot of publication and was really covered in the news, but this was definitely a People's Republic China sponsor activity against critical infrastructure operator, mostly in the US, to pre-position themselves in a view to actually do damage, right? Use cyber means to make effect in the physical world. And really, this was seen in a level that they were pre-positioning themselves in view of potentially projecting power, be able to influence or create chaos in our democracy in the future. And really, this is part of the span of services that nation state now can use in enabling their political agenda. So obviously, this is a different reality now, and this is a reality that we all need to understand and start working with. Obviously, one of the key area that's really been targeted in that space is really all critical infrastructure, as again the ability to affect those affect their services that they render to the nation immediately result in chaos locally, which then affect ability for our government, for example, to react to some kind of international situation happening somewhere else in the world. So to that end, you will see this reality being expanded and described in our upcoming publication of our National Cyber Threat Assessment, which should be released tomorrow. So as you may not be aware, the Cyber Center has been publishing every 2 years a National Cyber Threat Assessment, which gives you our view of where the threat stands against Canada in different sectors. We've been doing this since 2018, and this will be our 4th publication, and this document gives you a 2-year outlook on how we see the threat evolve. You can see our current NCTA, National Cyber Threat Assessment, was published in 2022, give you a 2-year outlook. Typically we launch this in October as part of the Cybersecurity Month initiative. And you can see on the slide some of the initial key judgments that were made in the last one. The new one, as I mentioned, will be launched tomorrow, and you should see a reflection of it in the media. It will be available on our website. But what I can say to it, this year, first of all, the kind of 3 key judgments, the kind of 3 sections that you'll see in the NCTA will be focusing first on, again, the impact on nation-state and nation-state aligned actor in cybersecurity. What are they doing that shift from now conducting espionage activity to actually now be also in the space of disruption? You'll see how, again, Canada, part of that in CTA, and we've been doing this already in the previous one, we also clearly identify some of the states that are the more active conducting cyber operation in Canada. And in the document, we are clearly stating that China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran are conducting cyber activity against Canada, or sponsoring activity against Canada. We also make it clear that of all 4, China is definitely the one that creates the more strategic threat to the nation. So again, we're definitely leaning forward in those documents in the spirit of communicating the challenge we're facing and how the threat has evolved, and it becomes something that needs to be considered and really pay attention to beyond espionage, and really to realize that everybody is affected in that. We're all affected in this, and I say if you don't care about geopolitics, well, you should care about it, because geopolitics care about you. Now, the smallest organization is a way in to, quite often, now we live in such an interconnected world that any small supplier to a large organization becomes a way in. And of course, criminal actor will go where the easiest path is all the time, right? So everybody's implicated, in which really focus the fact that on the importance of supply chain integrity and third-party risk created by third-party services. So that will be that. There'll be another key judgment focusing again on cybercrime. I mean, cybercrime is not going away, clearly staying there. And it'll make the case, though, clearly we'll highlight some of the renewed reality where it's now in a world where cybercrime as a service, where, cyber criminals have created a full business ecosystem where different suppliers exist, where they will supply you access, they will supply you ability to encrypt, they will supply you the infrastructure to run your tool, they will supply, credential to allow you to conduct your operation. And really what it means now is actually the cybercrime community is resilient. They have the ability, that any action against them allows them to quickly spin up another reality somewhere else rapidly in the dark web, and really having this resilience to resist law enforcement activity. So once again, it's that reality that more and more the challenges are there for us, and we need to focus on that. Last key section will be again flagging some initial trends that are going to be affecting cybersecurity in the next few years, and those are really meant in a way of looking and making sure folks understand and monitor those. For example, obviously the impact of artificial intelligence in cybercrime, and our view is that we haven't seen, we have barely seen what cyber criminal can do with artificial intelligence, so we'll see more of that and really go beyond the spear phishing creation, but actually be able to raise up the, with AI, it's basically scaling up, it's broader scope, scaling up to the ability to do more. So we're looking forward, and we expect, that we'll see an explosion of leveraging those issues. Concern related to supply chain concentration. Once again, more and more, we live in a world where we have large service providers that are holding up large amount of information. So what does that mean for us? How do we manage these risks? How do we understand how to deal with that? Now, they are obviously a big target for cyber criminal and nation-state actor. So how do we deal with that? Dual-use technology, again, technology that's being used for commercial purposes, but also can be leveraged for military applications. So looking at that, obviously, again, cyber criminal are definitely engaged by that. And finally, the whole supply chain threat. Again, looking at how this is being leveraged by the actor, and again, it's getting more and more sophisticated and more presence. So that was the threat. So you'll see this, it will be launched tomorrow. But always, talking about a threat is one thing, but what do we do to actually try to mitigate those threats? So I'm here to announce that today we're launching a new service line within the Cyber Center that's going to be focused on actually helping mitigate some of those threats. So what we're doing now, so today we're launching what we call the Canadian Cyber Readiness Goal, which will be really our approach to be able to provide cybersecurity recommendation in terms of mitigation and building resilience that is aligned to the threat. The initial launch will be based on creating, and the model is about creating a foundational set of function that's common against all threat in all sector, because this tool is really targeting critical infrastructure operator, critical service operator, vital cyber system operator. This is what we're targeting with this capability. And while the initial release will put a foundational level of cybersecurity control that we recommend to address basic threat, the phase 2 of this program will be to create sector-specific overlay that will be creating additional control, adjusting cybersecurity control to the threat to your sector. So what you can expect is to see a potential financial sector overlay, a health sector overlay. Depending on the nature of the business, what is it that is more in the business, and also the type of information holding that you have, the criticality of the service you offer, and the threat you're facing. We will then adapt those security control to your reality. So we've been, and then we'll build, when we're creating and hopefully the goal will be that those will be dynamic over time, and it will be adjusting as we see the threat. From what we see and what we see from our partners, we'll be able to adjust this control and truly help folks securing their infrastructure. It gives you also a set of goals to achieve, and that's why we wanted to put that out there for facilitating organizations that have limited resources, limited time, and how do they know they're working on the right thing? So definitely want to help the community to address those goals and leveraging that. So why did we pick this? So a couple of just rationale we want to explain. So it was also a realization that critical infrastructure are becoming more and more targeted. And while some sectors are definitely mature, lots of resources, because historically IT technology was the core of their business. Now let's think about the financial sector. However, the reality though, there was a lot of other sector and a smaller member of those sectors that did not have the resources to be able to go have that mature program. So this way we feel to give them a bit of a target to focus on. The other aspect, just again, tailored to the reality of Canadian critical infrastructure, this program is actually matching a mirror program from the US government, from the CISA. They also run a similar program, and we work jointly with them to evolve those security controls. So in the US, of course, we're Canadians. We didn't have a different name. We call it Cyber Readiness Goal. Our US colleague call it Cyber what is it again? Cyber Performance Goal. There we go. So even me, I get mixed up a bit there. But so those two programs are working together. The two teams are working together to provide that joint reality for both sides of the equation here, of the North American reality to work together. So anyway, that is the goal. To that note, you will see that, so really again, if you look at the NCTA and the CPGs, CRG, they are working hand in hand. The threat is there. This is what we recommend to mitigate the threat. And to that end, tomorrow, we're running a workshop tomorrow morning where we're going to show you some use case on how to use the CRG to mitigate some threats. So I would say if you have it now, I really recommend you look at this tomorrow and you have a chance to highlight this. The session will be in the tech lab at 13:25 tomorrow afternoon. So please have a look and join us. If you're not sure, go to our booth again and we can point you in the right direction. All the documents are available to be downloaded now. There's a program level document that explains you the CRG in the concept, and then the actual foundational document can also be downloaded at this point in time. Moving on now to just the last bit, I just want to highlight a couple of high-level items that we'll keep our eyes on globally. So I think the famous Bill C-26 that's been actually going to Parliament for many, and I see some people looking at me, there's also many years. However, we're getting more and more close. So Bill C-26 is a bill about cybersecurity that will create put in place a cybersecurity framework for 4 critical sectors in Canada. Really, those sectors are telecommunication, finance, transport, and energy, where all federally regulated operator that will be designated will be subject to a new set of regulation from the regulator, and also one of the key components will be mandatory incident report to the Cyber Center. So, I mean, again, I'm not here to do, and there's a couple of sessions that go over C-26 today and tomorrow. So I'm not here to do that. I just want to know that this is, again, a critical piece of it. That will be the first bill, actually, in Canadian history dealing with focus on cybersecurity. And it's really there to put in place a multi-sector framework to facilitate information reporting, but creating that ability to report it by one, but share back to all, and that's the role of the Cyber Center, so that when we see one threat facing one of the designated operator, that threat can be shared not only within that sector, but across sector to all of the other folks. The last comment on the bill, just so that everybody understands, not all the entity in those sectors will be subject to this bill. It will be designated operators, so Parliament, Government and Council will select selected operators that are operating vital cyber system or vital cyber services to Canada. So really, it's a very limited, the vision at this point in time, it's a very limited subset of very large, very important, critical service operator. I say very large. It could be, just to be clear, it could be a small company that has discovered how to turn water into gold that will be also designated a critical cyber system. But this is really a very targeted in terms of scope of who's going to be affected by this. So that was a quick overview of what we do. Again, if you don't know us, stop by our booth, go to our website. Also, for the folks in Montreal, I'm super happy to announce that last year, I think we announced we're going to open an office in Montreal. So today I can tell you that our office in Montreal is open. Just recently, again, our local manager is in place. He's staffing up his team, so it's early days. So I don't want everybody to call them up and expect that he's going to show up tomorrow morning. We're still in ramping up the capability, but we're opening up un pied à terre à Montréal. On va avoir une antenne à Montréal qui va pouvoir vraiment être engagée de manière plus présente et active dans la communauté de cybersécurité de Montréal, qui est très active. C'est une des raisons pourquoi on a voulu faire ce pilote à Montréal. Puis juste pour comprendre la vision à long terme, ceci est un projet pilote qui devrait informer une plus grande stratégie nationale pour le Centre canadien de la cybersécurité, qui devrait résulter en avoir une présence là, de la côte de l'océan Atlantique à l'océan Pacifique, à l'Arctique, où on aura une présence un peu nationale. Alors voilà, merci beaucoup pour votre temps. S'il y a des questions, ça va me faire plaisir de répondre à des questions. Merci pour votre présence.